Well, today we're going to be jumping into how do I take my brand and make it a 5-star brand? How do I make customer service the best customer service in the world? What are the steps I have to take and the permission I have to give my people to create a culture to make that happen? We're going to be covering that and many other things to help you take yourself, your brand, and your services to the next level. Welcome to the next 24 hours, where I'm going to give you real information you can really use to transform your life and work one day at a time. I'll be your host, Curtis Zimmerman. All right, well, right off the bat, let me just talk about hospitality. I think it's very important that we understand that it's everywhere we go. It's every experience we have. It really permeates every single company and the culture of every single person that you meet. How hospitable are they? Do you feel like you're walking into someone's home when you're walking into their business? Or do you feel like you're walking into a museum where you don't really fit in? They're speaking a different language. Oh no, this is a different culture and a different feeling, and I don't feel welcome. So important that we understand and embrace this with what we're projecting in ourselves, in our companies, in our communities, and with our brands and services. I'm very passionate about this. I'm going to be sharing more stories about me in this podcast than normal, and that's because this has been my industry, the hospitality industry, my entire life. Since I was 12 and a half years old, somebody had to make a choice. Am I going to hire this little boy to go and make people's experiences better because he's there or not? And I'm here to tell you that's what every forward-facing employee needs to understand. If I hire this person, will that customer's experience be better because they're there, or will it be worse because they're there? And if the answer is not their experience will be better because you're there, you will not hold that job for very long. Let's jump into it. I have to start at the beginning. You know, when I think about how I'm so uniquely qualified for this topic, I have to be honest with you. I was thinking about being a brand ambassador. Now, a brand ambassador means that you are going to go and represent a brand. And I won the Yoplait Mime Search way back in the day. It was 12 cities. There were 12 mimes. I won for Los Angeles. And that meant for a full year, I was going to be the Yoplait yogurt mime, and I had a Yoplait outfit, and it said Yoplait yogurt on it, and I made special appearances, and I was on television. I did talk shows, performing on those talk shows, and it was kind of a big deal. I won $2,000, but every place I went, I had what was called a mime handler, and that person basically was making sure that the outfit was the right way. It was pressed. It looked clean. My white face had to have the Yoplait yogurt little decoration on my face, and it had to be painted a certain way with certain colors. And when I was performing, I had to make sure that the material was correct and clean and represented the brand. And then when I actually broke character and I was interviewed and I talked to people, they had to make sure that what I was saying was supporting the brand and wasn't anything that was off color or anything that could be misconstrued as something that was negative toward any group or other brand or anything like that. So there was a real understanding that I had to have of what that brand stood for and how I was going to represent it in a good and positive and clean way. So that's going way back, like 30 years ago when that happened. And I had to embrace that concept that it isn't now just about me as Curtis Zimmerman. It's about me as Curtis Zimmerman representing something bigger than me. And really, that's what every single employee that goes above and beyond, every employee that is hired that works at the Ritz-Carlton or works at, the Cuisinart, which is this amazing resort and spa that I go and speak with. Those people understand that they're representing something bigger than them, and therefore they have to behave in a certain way. So I share that with you because as I talk through the things that I see as the differences and the difference makers when it comes to customer service, I want you to understand that it's only because I've embraced it and lived it so many times. Another time I went to, I think it was 27 cities, and I was Where's Waldo? You know the Where's Waldo, you got to find him in the book? I was actually Waldo, and I'd go and I had the outfit and I had the books, and I would go and kids had to come and find me and then ask me questions, and I had to memorize where every single thing that was hidden in those books, where they were on every single page. So as a brand ambassador, I had to understand the brand. I had to live the brand. Literally, I became Waldo. And I would just say that's true for you. If you're a person that is going to go work somewhere, understand the brand. Understand what the best people in that brand do. Understand the background of that and understand what your brand is promising to the customer, and then try to deliver that every single day. And you truly will have job security if you do these things. Now, I also worked on cruise ships for a few years, and when you work on a cruise ship, you do your show. So I worked on Carnival Cruise Lines and Regency Cruise Lines, but when I worked on Carnival Cruise Lines, I did my show as a performer, but then also you did something called cruise staff duty. And cruise staff duty meant that you were the person that when it was time to play bingo, and they play bingo 6 times a week on the cruise ship, that you had to go and you had to sell bingo cards, and you had to call bingo in the B column, B1, the baby of bingo, B1. Yeah, I've done a lot of calling of bingo in my life. And also, let's just say there was an ice carver that was going to be out on the Lido deck, and they had to have somebody talking about what the ice carver was doing while he was carving the ice. It's like, like a little kind of activity that's happening on the ship. Well, that would be something else you would do. The other thing I really enjoyed doing is you also had to run the disco. So 1 or 2 nights a week, you'd be the person spinning the records and picking the kind of music that was going to play, and you actually ran the disco. It was awesome. I share all of that because I want to make it clear that what you had to do to succeed on the cruise ship, the reason I was able to work there for 2 years is you had to be completely focused on the people. You had to be 100%. What am I going to do today to make their experience while on the ship better? That is my value. My value proposition is they paid a lot of money to have a good time. What am I going to do to go out of my way to make sure that they have a good time? That's the way I've thought and the way I still think every single day when I worked on the ship. Every 9 years I worked at amusement parks. My entire job was to walk out into the park and make people have fun, make people see somebody juggling, have people enjoy a little story as a mime as I told a story through my body, through body language. I share these things with you before I jump into this because it's so important you understand my background and why I'm so excited about talking to you about this topic. One last thing I'll say is that I literally, as a performer and now as a speaker, have been on the road for over 40 years. I have stayed at thousands and thousands of hotels. I've stayed at the worst hotels in the world where I'm literally in the hotel and it's time to go to sleep, but I leave the lights on because I'm afraid of what might crawl out of the hotel walls while I'm sleeping. So I sleep with the lights on. I mean, I've stayed at the worst places in the world. I literally had a mouse in my room before at some of the hotels I've stayed at. Crazy. Also, on the other side, because of the work that I do, people oftentimes have their big events at some of the most amazing resorts and some of the most amazing hotels and the most amazing islands in the entire world. I've also spent many, many nights at some of the most just honestly out of control properties that you can even imagine. It is amazing. Just walking around, you're in awe everywhere you go. It's beautiful. So I share that because of that experience of being at the worst of the worst and the best of the best. I want to talk to you about customer service and how it's changing and the things you may need to be thinking about if you want to take your customer service and your forward-facing people to the next level. Well, one of the first things I see in amazing organizations is they hire people that they can trust. Now, you may be saying, yeah, but we only pay minimum wage, or it doesn't matter. You can come up with a million excuses why you don't trust your employees, but I'm telling you right now, the number one, the bottom of the thing that has to be checked off the list is trust. Can you trust your employees, and can you trust them to make good choices that represent you, your brand, and whatever it is you're trying to sell really well, even when you're not in the room? What does that mean? That means when I work at Universal Studios and I come and take a whole day with some of the dynamic folks there, and I say, you know what? All the action happens in the park, and I love amusement parks. I worked them for 9 years. Let's go out in the park, and we're going to spend some time researching and talking to the folks and looking at what's going on. And what I see happen while we're out in the park doing this kind of breakout kind of session together, somebody spills a drink on their shirt. And one of the people that's in my group, my little team member, they just jump up and they walk over and they walk into one of the gift shops and they grab a shirt and they purchase that shirt and they come out and they talk to that person, and that person disappears into the restroom and comes out and they're wearing a really killer Universal Studios shirt. That happened, but just like in minutes. How did that happen? Why did that happen? Because that person understands that they have a certain amount of leeway to make some purchases, to make people's day in the park better. Part of their job description is to do their job, whatever it is, but also when they see a problem, to act on that problem and change that customer's experience in the moment. Do you do that with your people? Do you allow them to do that? If they went and bought a shirt for somebody and then came back to you and said, yeah, well, they spilled this drink and it was all over, and so I bought them a shirt, would your head explode? Would you scream at them? Would you fire them? Would you tell them to go home because they went way out of control? Or would you understand that is the kind of customer service that I saw at Universal Studios that everyone needs to incorporate more? They look at the customer first and they trust the person to make a good choice. And I'm telling you right now, that person is getting their phone out and they're holding the shirt that they have with the Coke all over it, and then they're showing their brand new shirt, and they're taking pictures of it, and they're putting it on Facebook, and they're putting it on Instagram, and they're sharing it with their family and friends, and that's giving you more marketing dollars than your marketing team could come up with, and more great information and viral stuff to watch than your marketing team's going to come up with this month. That'll be the best $9 you've ever spent. That is empowering your people to make great choices. It's the bottom ring to bring your customer service up. Next thing, be very careful if you're the person that's in charge to mandate greetings. Maybe you've heard this before. Welcome to Moe's. Welcome to Moe's. Welcome to Moe's. Drives me crazy. I like the food, but if I sit there and eat my food, I have to hear welcome to Moe's 27 times, because somewhere somebody's decided every single time somebody walks in the door, the whole team that's behind the counter has to yell, welcome to Moe's. And unless that's music to your ears, then you're not going to eat there. You're going to hear it one time and go, oh my God, the food is great, but I can't sit. Oh, I'm trying to have a conversation. I'm on my phone. I'm trying to focus on something from work as I eat, and all I hear over and over is welcome to Moe's. Now, I'm not picking on them specifically because I can go right down the street here to my local gas station, and as I walk in now, I've noticed this has changed over the last 9 months. Every single time I walk in, here's what I get. Hello? I'm like, hello? Then I go in again. I hear, hello? I go, hello? Then I wanted to see what would happen if I did this. I walked in, they said, hello? Now I realize this is every single customer now. When they hear the ding, ding, as a person walks in, somebody behind the counter has to, whatever they're doing, that ding, ding is like Pavlovian. They have to say, hello, to welcome that person, supposedly. Somebody, corporate somewhere decided that was a good idea. So here's what I've been doing now. Ding, ding, hello? Hello, how you doing? I've done that over and over, and you want to know the truth? I've never got one response back. So their job is to say hello. Now, when I engage them and say, hello, how you doing? They don't go, Hey, I'm great. Thanks for asking. Hey, fine. They've never answered me once because the mandate is trying to make the customer feel like they're welcome. Now, real life, when you work for companies and you work for organizations and you work for different brands, you make them understand there are a plethora of amazing ways to greet our customers. And the number one thing is it's not about the way you greet them, it's about engaging with them. You can have a conversation. Hello, hello. That's not engagement. Here's engagement. Hey, how you doing, man? Hey, welcome. How's it going? Oh, good to see you again. Hey, welcome. Hey, I know you normally get Pepsi. I just want to let you know right now we have that sale where it's buy one, get one free. Check it out. That level of engagement tells me not only that the person is saying hello, but tells me that they really are wondering how I am, who I am, what my buying habits are. That's a whole different thing. That's what great brands do. That's what gives you 4 stars rather than the person checks you out on Yelp and all it is page after page of people saying, oh, whatever you do, stay away from here. Worse food, worse service, worse experience. We spent a lot of money and I'd never go on that experience again. That's the world we live in. And the brands that are going to make it and the brands that are going to shine moving forward. And I don't care if it's a hotel brand, which I work with lots of hotel brands. I don't care if it's a restaurant brand. I've worked with the biggest brands in the world in the restaurant industry. I don't care what products or services you sell. Customer experience now, even more than ever. I don't care if you're Delta Airlines, which I love Delta Airlines. We have an amazing story with them right now. But I need for you to know they are amazing at customer service and they're building into their people more every single day because they know that that is the difference maker right now in the world, even more than in the past. Whatever position you have, I want to make it perfectly clear that you don't need to get together in a panel meeting, in a board meeting. We don't need to hire a bunch of people to get experiential. What are our customers thinking? You want to know what you're doing well and what you're not? It's really simple. Think about you. Think about when you check into a hotel, what's the perfect experience? What are you hoping they're going to say to you? When you call a vendor because you have a problem, how do you hope they take that call? How do you hope they're going to handle this problem that you have? Whatever the answer of that is, that's exactly what you should be trying to strive for in your company. That's exactly what you should be looking for in your customer service. When you think about making an investment to go on a cruise ship and you're going to take your whole family, you're going to go for 7 days, what about that experience is going to make it perfect? What about the way they greet you is different? What about the way the food is served is different? What about the shows and the level of entertainment and the level of engagement every single employee has with you that makes you say, this was the best cruise of my life? You don't have to think about outside of who you are. Think about who you are right now. Think about what you do when you go to a restaurant right now. Is the person on their phone and not paying attention to you when you're standing there with the bill and you're going, please, can I give you my money? And they're too busy on their phone to take your money. I say this all the time when I work with people that stock shelves, people that are selling different products, and they're so busy working, stocking the shelf, so busy. And I'm standing there at the cash register with my money, and they see me, and they continue stocking the shelf. And the breakdown is just so dramatic in my own mind. Here's the bottom line. If I'm standing there with some of your products, and I have money in my hand, and I'm asking you, please, will you take my money? And you're too busy stocking the shelves to take my money, you don't understand the process of business. Because if I didn't buy the product, you wouldn't need to stock the shelf. There's nothing more important in your job description right now than coming over, greeting me, make sure I found everything I needed, taking my money, making that experience a happy, easy, smooth experience, and sending me on my way, and then going back and stocking the shelves. So sometimes we get lost in what customer service should be, what we think it is, and then what our job is. So we all have the job we have to do, but we also have to make other people's day every single day in our job. So I have examples of people that go out of their way every day, and it doesn't mean that you're the manager, and it doesn't mean you are like some hotshot rock and roll, whatever. I want you to know, whoever's listening, you can make a difference in people's lives every day, no matter what level you're at, and no matter what you do for a job. Here's a great example. So I'm staying at a major brand. I mean, it's a big brand, and it's a hotel brand, and I stay there a lot. I go in, I get a good night's sleep. In the morning, I got my little speaker boy outfit. I'm getting ready to go do my speech, and I don't really have time for breakfast, even though there's a nice breakfast spread put out there. So I just go over and I grab a banana, and I grab some coffee, and I'm heading out the door, and then I take a second look at that banana, and on the banana, it says, "Be amazing." Like somebody took literally a Sharpie and wrote on the banana, "Be amazing." And I stopped in my tracks. And I thought, what in the world? Who wrote "Be amazing" on the banana? And then I swung back around and I went and I looked at the basket carefully, and literally every single banana had an inspirational word or an inspirational saying on the banana. Now, I travel a lot, and I've never seen inspirational bananas before. Trust me, I've looked. They're not out there. So I went, and I had to go find the crazy person that writes inspirational messages on bananas. Sure enough, there she was. She was in the back. She was putting some things away and getting some food prepared for people. I said, "Excuse me, are you the person that wrote these inspirational words on this banana?" And she kind of, shrugged a little and smiled and said, "Oh yeah, I've been doing that now for quite a while." And I was like, this is so amazing. And I need to know, is this a corporate decision? Did corporate say, what would be really cool is if we wrote inspirational messages on the bananas? We should have that happen at every one of our locations. And she again kind of looked down and said, "No, actually, my GM allows me to do this, and corporate doesn't know anything about it because he's not sure how they feel about it, but he knows it means a lot to me, so he allows me to do it." And I said, "Why? Why are you putting this on bananas? What's your motivation?" And she said, "Well, I've worked here for a long time, and I know a lot of people are at hotels for different reasons. And one is because they're living a very, very exciting life, and their kids are in soccer, and they're here for a big tournament, and it's going crazy and fast. And boy, they need to just slow down, and they need to remember how blessed they are and how lucky they are every day. So I put a little word on the banana to make them think about, wow, this is a great, crazy time in life, but also it's a great time to live your life as you're in that crazy time." The other thing is that I have a lot of people here that are business people, and they're kind of stressed out. And they're here, and they're action-packed, and they're stressed about their big presentation, and they get a banana, and it says something that's relaxing to them. It says something, and it's interesting because I watch them. And once people see what it is, they'll actually pick the banana they need. So they pick the message that's going to have the biggest impact for them. Once I did it a few times, now I do it every single time I work. And it really makes my day knowing I'm helping other people as they travel through our hotel kind of enjoy their day a little bit more. And that's why I'm able to give a little bit. Excuse me. Wow. That person is going out of their way to make other people's day. They're not going to get a raise for it. They're not going to get, she got a hug from me, believe me. But in most cases, she's not going to get a hug. She's not going to get a high five. And she's just doing that because she knows for a fact the impact that it has. And I would challenge you and your people to think the same. What experience are your people having around your brand, around your services? And they've paid money to come have an experience with you. And are you allowing your people to really help them, even if it's as crazy as putting an inspirational word on a banana? That's your challenge, is to be free to let people do things to make other people's day every single day. The next thing that's really important is that even though you may be helping other people create amazing experiences for your customers, you may not get any credit for it. It may be behind the scenes. And I want to give you, if that's who you are, I want to give you a huge high five and say thank you. Here's a super fast example of that. I was recently staying at a amazing resort, like world-class resort. I had mentioned in one of my sessions, just in passing, that the drawer in my room was sliding forward, and that when I leave the hotel, when I leave the resort, you might want to have somebody fix that before the next guest comes into the room. The session ended, and I walked to my room, and when I got there, I found two people underneath the desk fixing that drawer. Now, keep in mind that I didn't say I need to talk to the manager. Hey, listen, I don't know what department you're in. I didn't do any of that. This was just a sidebar to somebody. And what they did was take complete ownership of my little problem, which was no big deal to me. And they called the right people and they had them act on it immediately. And many, many organizations, if there was a drawer that just kind of slid open, what you'd have to do is you'd have to fill out a form. You'd have to submit that form to go to the bottom of the pile, and then sometime in a week or 2 or 3, the person that is in charge of those kinds of things would get that form, and they would go and find the room, but in the meantime, you had 9 guests stay in that room, and that drawer, that irritating door, no matter how many times you close it, it just simply rolled open. That is a very simple example of how you become a 4-star, 5-star, or how you stay in the position you are now. Are you allowing somebody to hear a problem, tell somebody, and have that person go stop everything and fix it immediately? That happened to me, and believe me, that's why it is one of the best resorts on the planet. All right, it's time for the 24-hour challenge. In the next 24 hours, you're going to find someone that is a customer, that is a vendor, somebody that you work with, and you are going to go out of your way to make their experience over the moon. You're going to go way beyond, and you're going to see the impact that that has on that person. You're going to see the impact that that has on that customer. I call it creating a viral moment. Can you create a moment in the next 24 hours that's so outrageous that that person's going to take a picture with you or take a picture with whatever it is you did, and then they're going to put it on social media? That's a viral moment that you created. That's what every single one of the people that work for you, or every single day you work and you're in customer service or you're customer facing, how many viral moments can you create? I want you to do one in the next 24 hours. Get viral. Hey everybody, I wanted to thank you so much for listening, and I have a workbook that is all about script writing. It's how to write a new script. It's normally $15 on my website. I want to offer it to you today for free. Just go to curtiszimmerman.com/new script, and you'll be able to download that as a free gift. I hope you enjoy it, and I hope you keep listening to the next 24 hours.